What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Fish the Moment. Today, I want to show you how you can cast with your right hand and your left hand to make sure you can hit all the targets out there on the lake and you're not missing any because you can only cast with one hand or on one side of your body. So let's get into it. Okay, so in general, most fishermen cast with either their right hand and they'll cast like this, or they're gonna cast with their left hand, which looks like this. But most people struggle to do both, to cast with the right side and the left side of their body. And that can make it difficult to put your bait in certain locations, and sometimes when you're going down the bank one direction, you can't really hit the right angle if you can only cast right-handed or only cast left-handed. And so what I want to show you is an easy way to become ambidextrous with your casting without really having to learn how to cast with your opposite hand. And in this video, I'm not going to be talking about pitching or flipping. Mainly, I'm just going to be talking about roll casting and then also overhead casting like that. So really quickly before I jump into the instruction, I want to let you guys know that I'm going to be talking about this casting technique from the perspective of a right-handed fisherman. And that's just because most anglers are right-handed. But if you are left-handed, you can just flip everything I'm talking about to the opposite direction and it will make perfect sense and actually cast both right-handed and left-handed. And I double check to make sure that's correct. And so it should be easy to transfer it. And most left-handers are pretty used to dealing with that anyways. So first up, I'm going to talk to you about how you can cast with both sides of your body for a roll cast. So the way that you can do that as a right-handed fisherman is by holding your reel in the exact same way you would when you're making your standard roll cast. And in this case, you can see that the palm of my hand is pointing up and to the left, kind of towards the sky. And then the back of my hand is pointed down towards the water, down to the right. And this is how I would make my standard roll cast. So the first thing that most anglers do when they try to cast with their opposite hand is they actually put the rod and the reel in the opposite hand and try to cast this way, which definitely works, and this is a way you can actually grip it if you want to cast like that. And it's basically the same way that I normally hold my rod after I end my cast right-handed and then start reeling the bait in. But that can be a little bit awkward, especially if you don't have very good thumb control with your left hand. And so instead, what I like to do is use the exact same hand position as I would for my right hand roll cast, and instead of having the palm of my hand pointing up and left and then the back of my hand pointing towards the water, I'm just going to turn my hand like this. That's going to put the reel handles up. It's going to put the top of my hand pointed towards the sky and the palm of my hand pointing towards the water. Then all I'm going to do is put my opposite hand on the bottom of the handle, spin the rod like this, and let the bait go forward. And this is almost kind of like doing a backhand tennis stroke, or I don't know, kind of almost like a golf swing. I don't really know exactly how to describe it, but it is a pretty easy motion to get down, and you can still use your same hand position from a right-hand roll cast. Just turn your wrist over and cast this direction. And I can skip that way, no problem. With some practice, I can be almost just as accurate casting that way as I can with a forehand roll cast. And it just takes a little bit of time, a little bit of patience to get that right. Sometimes you might not get the right release point correct or things like that, but usually when you get it down, you can cast just as well forehand as you can backhand like that. So let me show you that again one more time from this angle. And again, when I do my standard roll cast, I'm going to have the palm of my hand up towards the sky, back of the hand towards the water, and I'm going to cast like this. And then when I want to try to cast left-handed or backhanded, all I do is I take that reel, flip it over so the reel handles are pointed straight up, palm is to the bottom or toward the lake, and then I'm just going to put my off hand down here on the bottom and then spin the rod like this, and then I can just do a cast just like that right towards the target. Again, it takes a little bit of practice, but if you don't want to have to take the time to train your left thumb to be able to do your really good thumb control so you can cast left-handed, it's kind of a sneaky way or a cheaty way. I don't know how to call it cheating, but basically it's just a easier way to cast with the opposite side of your body because you're using your dominant hand, which you've already trained for the thumb control, to do the actual management of the backlashes, and then all you have to get down is this backhand motion with the cast to put that bait up there. So it's a really easy way to learn to cast with your opposite hand, and it's the first way I learned before I started practicing left-handed. And you can do the exact same thing with the overhead cast, and it's a little bit easier. So for my traditional overhead cast, it'll look like this. Basically just casting that bait out there over the top of my head or kind of over my shoulder here. And that's gonna launch that bait out there a lot further than I can with my roll cast, and you can get some good distance. Well, let's say that in this example here, we have maybe a big tree right in front of us or an obstacle. And if I cast this direction, I might hit the wall or I might hit something. And so in that case, you're not gonna be able to cast overhand like this. Well, what you can do is instead of casting overhand over your right shoulder, if you're right hand dominant, what you can do is you can just put the rod over your left shoulder, and all you have to do then is bring that rod over the left shoulder and cast forward just like that. And in that way, you're going to be able to avoid the obstacles around you and casting the opposite side of your body. And it's kind of the exact same thing we were talking about with the backhand and the front hand roll cast, except for this one is a little bit easier. It's basically just bringing your rod up instead of your right shoulder, bring it over your left shoulder, and then it takes a little bit of practice to get that motion down, but after a while it's really not that hard and you'll be able to make those casts. And so that's kind of the easy way to cast with your opposite hand without actually casting with your opposite hand, and it saves me a lot of frustration on the water when I see a perfect piece of cover or something that's tucked behind a dock or tucked behind a corner, and if I try to cast right-handed, I can't get there. But if I cast left-handed like that with backhand cast, boom, I get the bait right there. So great way to improve your efficiency fishing and put some more fish in the boat. So hopefully that was helpful to you guys. Hopefully that all made sense. And if you're a left-handed angler, all you need to do is just basically do the reverse of what I did in the video. And so the palm position will just be the exact opposite and you'll be good to go. So hopefully that made sense, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and definitely be making a lot more casting instruction videos. I was a 2-time casting national champion when I was younger, and so I feel like I at least have a little bit of credibility to talk about casting, and I want to make sure that you guys are hitting all of the targets the best you can when you get on the lake. So thanks again for checking out this video, and I'll see you all in the next one.